Hey guys, welcome back to the Unpolitical But Political podcast. Hope you guys are doing well. It's been ages that I have been on this podcast. I've just been really busy with university, guys. I'm so sorry for the delay. I did say I was going to be consistent, but, life is lifing. But yeah, I have a lot to talk about, so please expect like an hour or so. I have experienced a lot of different things that has happened, and a lot of things have just happened overall, outside and inside, and I just want to talk about a lot of things. Yesterday I was watching a video on psychology, and it was really interesting because it was to do with emotions and stuff. And if any of you guys don't know, I am trying to practice emotional intelligence. So I've been looking into other podcasts to do with emotions, and I've been reading a lot of philosophies and stuff to do with well-being, mental health, emotions, and the terms for them. And so yesterday I was watching a video to do with Stoicism, and I was really interested by it because it was to do with the importance of differentiating between what we can and can't control, and how it basically urges us to not be swayed by external opinions that do not contribute positively to our growth. And they were basically just defining every term to do with the psychological side of Stoicism. And I just found it really interesting, and it was basically talking about how when we handle our emotions, what's best to approach them, and how to go about them in a more thorough way, I guess is the word for it. And it was basically, I feel like this kind of related to me as well, this Stoicism philosophy, because it was basically teaching you that if you know you can't control something, or if you know that you're unable to control something, you shouldn't really allow yourself to be swept away, but be swept away with that emotion, and you should be able to guard your inner tranquility and sort of reframe your protection and response, and make sure that whenever you do react in certain situations or whatever, you just need to remember that if you engage, you need to remember that engaging in conflict or trying to change someone's mind, instead of focusing on your own stance in the communication or protecting your well-being or fostering a balanced interaction, I feel like that's just I think that's the better way to go about it, because then it just makes the communication with you and the person a bit more better. But yeah, I found it really interesting, the whole narrative. I'm not really there with it yet, but I do understand what they're trying to convey. And I was reading, I wasn't reading through it, but I was listening to the video yesterday, and I was just really I was reflecting back at myself, and I was this is really interesting, because I feel a lot of these issues kind of differ towards my side of things. Whenever I'm stuck in turmoil, or stuck in a situation with somebody, I tend to try and control things that are not within my control, and I think that's what kind of builds up the it sort of just builds up the rage in me already, because I've already built up all this turmoil trying to control what I can't control, and trying to fulfill someone else's void in a situation rather than my own, and like focusing on myself, that I feel like even if I was to try and control the uncontrollable, it wouldn't really change anything, because all I'm doing is hurting myself, and like it just displays a behavior within me than it does with the other person. And I feel like Stoicism believes in the connection of other people, and that understanding emotions and motives can lead to to better relationships and personal development, which I do think is true. If you know how to communicate with whoever you're talking to and foster like a better interaction, like a more balanced interaction, you can get more out of that than being sort of led back by it, if that makes any sense. I feel like it also teaches us to keep our inner calm and like our outer dignity in any circumstance. So if someone says something that's very triggering or that can make you feel a type of way, instead of going quick to react and like getting defensive, you can just keep yourself calm and like just hold your dignity and not have a reaction to everything, if that makes sense. Which I think is really interesting as well. I was also going to say that I feel like when I was listening to this yesterday, I feel like Stoicism is a very interesting term because it sort of leans into the psychological side of emotions, and like it makes you question your reality as much as it does when you read about it. Because when I was reading about it, I was just like, it sort of makes you emphasize more on like the emotional element, and like it helps you understand why reactions sometimes are not worth it, why you shouldn't always have a reason to like clap back at somebody or allow them to affect you in a type of way that it might have affected you, or what essentially it's doing is it just teaches you to be tough, fair and brave, and like it just teaches you that we need to learn how to like value ourselves, and not to look for the good things outside and look for them inside, instead of trying to look at all the things that we are on the outside and forget the inside. Because I feel like a lot of the time when we talk about certain things, we like to worry about how we are as a person outside of how we are internally, which I think it's almost like a back and forth thing. I was also watching this lady called Teal Swan, who's she's like a coach, and she was basically talking about happiness and how she basically just talking about happiness and like, you know, why people don't really feel like they're happy anymore, and why it's like almost essentially flawed. And I also think, and she was also saying that like the reason why happiness doesn't work anymore is because we were given a formula that doesn't really work how it should anymore. And, you know, throughout the times of COVID and like, you know, the economic recession and stuff like that, she was basically just saying that like throughout those times, it was almost like, especially for the younger generation, she was saying that we were living up to such a high expectation that whenever we put things into something, we want to see the results, but instead of seeing the results, it's almost like now it's just like, oh, it's not there anymore. Like the things that used to matter don't matter anymore. And like, it's almost like we've been flawed into these, like the expectations have become flawed because of societal constraints, and like the juxtaposition between like how life was before COVID and before the economic recession and how it is now, like after all of that. And I think it's quite interesting because even when I look at it now, when it was COVID and when it was COVID specifically, everything that I used to feel suddenly sort of it just erased. Like I didn't feel like that. I didn't feel that sense of power anymore. Like I didn't feel power or in control of anything anymore. I just felt like it was just like washed away from me. Whereas now, I feel like I have more control because um now I can care about my degree, and now I can care about my grades, and now I can care about, what task is going to be on my blackboard at uni tomorrow or something like that. Whereas before it was just like I'm putting in all of these answers, but I'm not seeing no results because now it's just like a formula that doesn't work anymore. No matter how many times you try and try and try, like you're not gonna get the results because like nothing is there to generate those results. Which I think is really interesting. And the way she was talking about it as well was like it made me open my eyes because it was just like even now with the economic recession, a lot of people don't even have control over their life like that anymore. We've fallen into a cost of living. The government is now almost playing us essentially. So now it feels like we're going like 10 steps forward and like 100 steps back. Things are expensive nowadays. There's a genocide happening in a country, and like it's crazy to even think about like how much we are not in control anymore like we used to be if you think about it realistically. And that's how I feel it's been with our happiness and how we endure things in our day-to-day, and like the things that bring us positivity and the things that bring us happiness and the things that we enjoy and the things that we look forward to. I feel like with COVID, that just was completely like it was just taken away from us, because the world was on pause and people were trying to find reasonings and like looking through the media and social media, and like she was also mentioning about social media as well, and like how it's almost like we are being forced to live a life that's not really realistic, and like how everything is just like is very surface level, so people can make you believe that this product works, but then when you try it, it's just like it's not as how it's made to be, if that makes sense. Like they don't hype it up as how it's meant to be when you do receive that product, or when you do receive that ticket to go and see an artist, or like those clothes that they wear, or the holiday that they go on and stuff like that. It's just all surface level, and how the media has just like made us believe that we should live this perfect life, even though that's not the case, which I think is very fascinating. But yeah, it was just very interesting. I also feel like sometimes the only way to strengthen your stance in communication is not engaging in like conflict or trying to change someone else's mind. And instead of like trying to engage in conflict or trying to change someone's mind, I think the best thing to go about certain things, especially in the emotional state of in the emotional state of things, I think it's just best to like focus on maintaining your own integrity and peace, and like, because at the end of the day, it's just more effective and healthier, which is why you strengthen your communication and you protect your well-being and your mental health, and like you foster a more balanced interaction. But yeah, I think you guys should go and check out Teal Swan. She's really, really good. I only started watching her today, and I found it really interesting, the things she was talking about. And yeah, But that's it for today, guys. I found that really interesting. I hope you guys are doing well. Please go and listen to the rest of my podcasts. Please go and check out the emotional intelligence one, the setting boundaries. Please continue listening. And yeah, I'll definitely get around to posting this. It's been a while, so I'm sort of getting back into the routine. I hope you guys are keeping well. This is really because I haven't been on the podcast for so long. I've been really busy with uni and other stuff. It just feels weird getting back into the routine, but I will be consistent from now on. I hope you guys have taken something from this. And yeah, I'll get around to posting this soon. Please stay updated, guys. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you on the next one.